Overdue for an oil change, it's the Medicare for the Lazy Man podcast. The Medicare podcast whose leaky batteries ruined all of its childhood toys. As the song goes, Cisco Kid was a friend of his. Here he is, Medicare expert Doug Jones.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Medicare for the Lazy Man podcast. I am your podcaster, Doug Jones, and I'm also your Medicare expert, or at least specialist. Some people say that I'm opening myself up to legal liability if I say expert, so take it with a grain of salt. I'm probably more of a specialist in when it comes to legal liability. I prefer to avoid that whenever possible. But I'm here to help you understand Medicare and to feel confident that one path through Medicare is going to be your best path. I don't want people to find that they've made a mistake, because in the world of Medicare, if you make a mistake and dilly-dally too long, it becomes very difficult, if not impossible, to correct that mistake, at least in most of the states of our union. So it's best if I draw out the path through Medicare that I recommend that people follow. And then when they do follow that path, they will find that they have not only the the highest quality health insurance protection available in the Medicare system, but they will also have a dose of freedom of choice of doctors and places to go, hospitals, that is unmatched by any other type of plan that others will try to sell you. So the plan, the path, the methods that I always recommend are those that provide the best results for most people. So how do I convey this knowledge to people? Well, I suggest that they go to Amazon.com and type into the search window Medicare for the Lazy Man, all separate words, of course, and then 2026, because that's the latest edition. And up will pop Medicare for the Lazy Man 2026, the simplest and easiest guide ever. Now, if a Medicare interested individual were to purchase that book, they would find several possibilities. You can buy the paperback version, which is the most popular. That's $11. You can buy the Kindle version, which I think is $5. You can buy the Audible version, in which you can listen to the book instead of having to do all the work of actually reading it and turning pages and so forth. And that's about a $6 and change item. And of course, if you're buying the book as a keepsake and it's going to be passed down to future generations in your family, I would suggest purchasing the $25 hardcover version. It's got all the same content, the same Medicare knowledge. It's just so beautifully bound and so meticulously crafted by the Amazon elves. They have little hammers, little tools. They work at tables, and they put these books together just for the people that are interested in what I have to say about Medicare. And what do I have to say about Medicare? Well, Medicare for the Lazy Man is the shortcut to the proper way to enroll in Medicare, to protect your freedoms, to preserve your freedoms. And that all starts in the first few pages of the book. You don't really have to read the whole book if you want to know what to do about Medicare. That's all described for you in the first few pages. But if you read on, you're going to find some entertaining content that describes Medicare, describes some of the history, some of the silly things that can happen with Medicare, some of the things to avoid, some of the things that happen in various states that are not really following the main path that 48 of the, let's say 46 of the 50 states follow. It's can be a confusing nightmare, but if you don't live in any of those states and you don't plan on moving to any of them, then it's not a big deal. But that information is there for you. If you're a successful individual and you're going to be subject to the IRMA penalty, which is imposed upon people who are successful, then this book describes to you how that is laid out, how it's assessed, how it's collected, and how much it's going to be for the following year. So all kinds of interesting information, not all of which everybody will need, but a lot of which some people will be interested in. So now there are two other books I've written that will help with the Medicare enrollment process. One is Medicare Drug Plans, a simple DIY guide. And that book will show you how to use the government website to identify the best drug plan for you. And by best, I mean the cheapest drug plan for you, and how to enroll in that plan. And it's basically a picture book of the various screens that you'll encounter when you go to the government website. And that site URL is medicare.gov plan compare. When you go to that site, it asks you for your zip code, first of all, and that's where it starts. And every page in the book will comport to a screenshot of the website, and it will take you by the hand and lead you through the process of identifying your own best drug plan and then how to enroll in it. So that book is a tool for you to use not only when you first encounter Medicare, but in future years. Every year in the fall, a person with a Medicare supplement plan is allowed to look at their drug plan and maybe replace it, because the new drug plans coming up in the following year just might not measure up to your current plan. And your current plan can come to an end. It can change, or it can remain the same. It's your job to make sure that what you have lined up for the following year is going to be satisfactory for you. And that book is a tool that will allow you to make that assessment. And then finally, the shortest, the most powerful book in Medicare is Medicare Enrollment Guide. And that book is a short but sweet version of the instructions about enrolling in Medicare Parts A and B, and then your Medicare supplement, and finally your drug plan. This book is like a pamphlet, and frankly, it doesn't cost very much because there isn't much to it, but Amazon forces me to charge something like $5 for a paperback or $3 for a Kindle. If you would rather go to my website and download it for free, then I would tell you go to www.medicareforthelazyman.com, and then you'll find the link to the Medicare Enrollment Guide. Click on that link, and no matter what device you're using, it will appear, and you can save it on your computer. You can print it out. You'll have your own free copy of Medicare Enrollment Guide. Someday I'm going to ask Randy if he has a way of measuring how many people have downloaded that book. I hope it's thousands, if not millions of people, because it really is a gift to anybody who is thinking about enrolling in Medicare. Here is the Medicare Enrollment Guide, free of charge. Help yourself. I don't even ask you for your email address. So anyway, that is the library of books that I've written to assist the Medicare enrollment people, and hoping that they all will be very helpful. Speaking of helpful, I've got Randy Carson sitting here on the other side of the screen. He's always very helpful. And Randy, it's a pleasure to see you again.
Well, it's a pleasure to be seen. How are you, Doug?
I think I'm just fine. I haven't asked anybody else yet. Sometimes people lie and tell me I'm not so fine, but yeah,
Well,
I ignore that.
you're looking bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
All right, quit looking at my tail, will you?
I have to admit, we're having wonderful weather out here today.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. When you say wonderful, that means it's not as hot as you would expect in the summertime.
No, it's just amazing. I'm really thinking something's going on with the world here, and it certainly isn't global warming, because we're sitting here at 91 degrees, and I know that sounds hot to some folks, But
Oh
out
boy,
here
not
in
to
the
me.
middle, out here in the latter part of July, early part of August, 91 degrees is like a nice spring day.
That's a beautiful temperature for Arizona because people don't realize that they perspire and the perspiration evaporates,
Yes.
doesn't even get your armpits wet, but it keeps your comfort level
Oh,
intact.
it's absolutely gorgeous. And I'm looking out here. I think there's a few clouds in the sky, but not bad.
Well, you guys had a spit of rain not long ago, didn't you? I know I was
Yeah.
contacted by somebody who thought I was out there, wondered if I had
Yeah.
survived the rain, and apparently it made big news.
Well, anytime we get rain out here, it makes big
Yeah.
news. Oh,
Ah,
it's raining. Oh, not as much as snow. I mean, snow,
no.
you would think, oh my gosh, the world's coming to an end. We're having snow. But anyway, yeah, we got the last couple of nights, we've gotten little spits of rain. I mean,
Uh-huh.
nothing serious, but
Okay. There
yeah,
wasn't any big storm that happened a few days ago?
no, no, no. Well, I don't know about 3 days. I can't remember 3 days ago, Doug.
Well, there you go. That's what happened then. I think there was a big storm. Man, I think you've probably just forgotten it. I know a long time ago when I was pretty new in Cave Creek, I was in Phoenix. It was 70 degrees, and I drove back home, which involves going uphill, but you don't really notice it. And all of a sudden, I saw that there was snow all over the ground, and it turned out to be hailstones. A hailstorm was happening in Cave Creek, and every car in town was hiding under the few little trees that there are. And
You go ahead.
there was no place for me to hide. All the hiding places were taken. So I just drove home and drove in the garage, and then I went out and I took pictures because the hailstones made it look like snow. They were
Yeah.
white, and they were like not golf ball size, smaller than that, but it was a sight to behold for somebody that had been in Arizona for years and never seen any precipitation like that before.
Oh, I know. I'm going to have to tell you my big joke now. How do you know someone's from Arizona?
I give up. I don't know. How do you tell?
They'll walk 5 miles to park under the nearest tree.
Yeah, there you go. And I did that with the Corvette with the top down. We went into Lowe's, and by the time I got out of Lowe's, the Corvette was half full of whatever the yellow doodads that fall off of Palo
Oh,
Verde trees
yeah.
are.
Oh, my God. Oh, yeah. Oh, they are such a mess.
I think I broke a vacuum cleaner trying to get it
Yeah,
cleaned. That was horrible.
it's an absolute mess. I mean, long story short is they just gum your pool equipment up. I mean,
Yeah.
everything's a mess.
It taught me a valuable lesson. Stay away from those things.
Oh yeah, we used to have one in our backyard, right by whoever decided to landscape our yard the first time around, put that kind of tree, a Palo Verde, in
Uh-huh.
our
Yep.
backyard. So twice a year it would drop all its crap in our pool to
Ugh.
the point that it would drive our pool guys to distraction. That they would call us up and scream at us and say, "I'm never cleaning your pool again."
Oh man. Well, I will say that having been in Arizona quite a while now, I think the pool cleaning industry is one with highly strung individuals anyway. I don't know
Oh
that they're
yeah.
always the most stable.
Well, I don't know. We've got one right now that's just the best. So
Well,
we're
yeah,
we're
you told me
lucky.
about that. Yeah,
Yeah, we're
it's
lucky.
it's an interesting business plan that they pursue. Why don't you tell us about it?
Well, he's got automated robots that they're. I didn't know they existed, but he's got pool cleaning robots.
I think
You
that's a
know,
beautiful thing.
and he comes by and he throws one in your pool, turns it on, and it cleans the pool automatically while he goes to the next house and drops another one in there. And then he's got it timed so that he comes back around when the pool is clean and pulls it out, and it's just a rotating thing. And they do a wonderful job. And ultimately, the only thing he has to do is deliver them. It's like dropping your kids off at school. He drops one off and waits till school's over, and then he comes back and gets it.
So you can be even dumber than the average uh, pool maintenance guy with this business plan and still succeed. It sounds like.
Yeah, yeah.
Are these things battery operated? They're not hooked up to the
They're,
vacuum, right?
no, they're rechargeable. They're well,
But
yeah,
I'm saying they're
they're
they're not hooked up to the vacuum Excuse me,
Oh,
to the water.
no. They're all self-contained,
Okay.
and the only thing he has to do is drop them in, and they're AI based, so
Oh,
they figure their way around the pool and ultimately get it nice and clean, and it's the craziest thing you ever saw.
God. Well, I'm not too well, what am I saying? I am learning more and more about AI, and in fact, we're going to do some AI based content today. So it's not as new to me as it might be to other people who are fascinated with the way their pool gets cleaned by an AI driven machine. But I think that's a really brilliant idea, assuming they work as well as
Yeah.
the traditional method.
Well, actually, I think they're better. I mean, the thing doesn't give up. I mean, it goes around until, well, you've had a RoboVac before, or maybe you do now.
Yeah, we got
They
one in each house.
Yeah, they absolutely make sure that they hit every square inch of the house, and that's the way this Robo pool cleaner is. It
And they're
touches.
persistent. If they hit
Yeah,
my foot, they'll keep bouncing off my foot until I move my foot.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I think it's wonderful. So anyway, long story short is he is absolutely the best pool guy we've ever had, and we're going to keep him as long as we possibly can.
Well, I hope he lasts longer than most other pool guys do.
If he gets really, really, really successful, that's when we lose him.
Well, if I'm that guy, I just hire a couple of lackeys to do the work that I used to have to do.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, absolutely. And he's a vet, and I really love everything about him.
Well, great, great. If our guys, well, I don't know if he is really authorized to do commercial pools, but we've got a community pool, and the county comes in and examines it all the time, and it may be that he's not qualified or doesn't really want to live up to their standards. Home pool standards are quite a bit more lax,
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
I doubt that I could use him for our pool, but it's nice to know that that kind of expertise is out there.
Well, if it comes to be that you need a pool guy, I could ask him if he's licensed for that kind of stuff.
I'm hoping we don't. Our current guys like it. They send us a photograph every time they vacuum and clean up and add chemicals and stuff. They send us photographs of the pool. Your pool is sparkling clean again, and so they seem to be happy to be on the job. And I'm not going to mess with success.
Oh yeah, don't if it ain't broke, don't
I'm
fix
not
it.
going. I'm not even going to try to fix it.
All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and mute out and let you do your thing here.
I'm going to turn our 20-minute timer on, and
Are you going to use your fancy Dan six-sided clock?
yes, I just have to make sure the right side is pointed up, and that's going to be the side that has the 20 on it. Uh-oh. I didn't. I turned it on before we even started. And then, of course, I thought just now I better turn it on. And so I turned it off by mistake.
Oh, wow.
So here we are. 20 minutes is at the top of the cube, and it's counting down right now.
All righty.
I mentioned AI content, and I'm so excited because I asked Claude to do some AI information for the show. And I asked him to put together some news stories that may have a basis in Medicare Advantage plans. What's new in the world of Medicare Advantage plans? And I also said, how about creating some content that's going to be entertaining for the listeners? And so Claude put together a bunch of short news stories. Let me go through these news stories right now and see if we like what we read. Story number one, plan shrinkage. Fewer choices on the table. Here's the story. There are 3,373 Medicare Advantage plans available for individual enrollment in 2026, a 9% drop from 2025. Meanwhile, 55% of eligible Medicare participants are now in Medicare Advantage plans, and the government payments to Medicare plan insurance companies are up 14% per person, which is an extra $76 billion in federal spending this year. Maybe this is a synopsis. Insurers are getting paid more per person while offering fewer plans. Good opener for a "Where's the money actually going" segment. So Claude is telling me how I can use his creation to perhaps create a very bouncy energetic episode. Let's see what he says. Story number 2. Hospitals are quietly walking away from Medicare Advantage. The story is as follows. Becker's Hospital Review is now tracking 25 plus major health systems that have dropped or narrowed Medicare Advantage network contracts in 2026. Big names: Mayo Clinic, out of network with most United Healthcare and Humana Medicare Advantage plans. Those are the two biggies in the industry. Mount Sinai dropped Anthem Medicare Advantage. UNC Health, I guess that's University of North Carolina, they dropped Humana, WellCare, Centene, and Blue Cross Blue Shield. Memorial Hermann, I think they're in Dallas, they dropped Blue Cross Blue Shield and Texas Medicare Advantage. Mass General Brigham Primary Care dropped United Healthcare and Blue Cross Blue Shield of Massachusetts. And then Moffitt Cancer Center, which dropped Humana Medicare Advantage this month in July of 2026, after already dropping Aetna Medicare Advantage last December. So we also move to story number 3. Prior authorization gets a partial facelift. New federal rules effective January 1st, 2026 require Medicare Advantage plans to answer expedited prior authorization requests within 72 hours and standard requests within 7 calendar days. Approved authorizations now stay valid for the full course of treatment, even if the patient switches plans or the provider leaves the network, and plans must publicly report approval, denial, or appeal overturn rates. There's bipartisan momentum behind the Improving Seniors Timely Access to Care Act that had 248 House co-sponsors and 64 Senate co-sponsors. Ironic twist, traditional Medicare is now piloting prior authorization in select states for the first time. So what we've got here is a big complaint with prior authorization is that with Medicare Advantage plans, many services required prior authorization. This means that a sick individual that needs a course of treatment that's subject to prior authorization, the doctor had, or the doctor's staff had to contact the insurance company first before allowing the procedure to be performed. And if it was done without the prior authorization, the doctor wouldn't get paid for it. The hospital wouldn't get paid their portion. And the insurance company would just refuse to pay. So during the prior authorization process, they had to wait just ungodly amounts of time for insurance companies to approve or deny the payment for the procedure. So the government came in and said, we're going to pass a law called Improving Seniors Timely Access to Care Act. And that limited the amount of time that the insurance company could dilly-dally while earning interest on their money in the bank before they spent it on the treatment that the patient needed. On the other hand, the patient's sitting in their hospital bed wondering if their disease is progressing or they're suffering in pain from an injury that needed to be fixed. Some of this has to do with nerve treatment. I know a couple of situations in which these prior authorizations, the procedures that ran afoul of them were to correct pain in the spinal column by cauterizing nerves. And that just seems to be an area that's prone to some fraud, shall we say. And so that's an area that gets a lot of prior authorization activity, including the new pilot program that was just mentioned in this particular article. It's ironic that regular Medicare, original Medicare, which has always had a lot of freedom of choice and very few prior authorization requirements, is trying an experimental program in 6 states to require authorization for certain procedures. And one of those procedures involves nerves being cauterized along the spinal column. So anyway, story number 4, AI is now denying your care and getting sued for it. The class action Loken, L-O-K-K-E-N, versus United Health Group is proceeding in federal court in Minnesota. Plaintiffs allege that United Healthcare used an algorithm called NH Predict with a claimed 90% error rate. Is it possible AI is wrong and it's a claimed 90% success rate or accuracy rate? Anyway, the sentence goes on to say the 90% error rate to override doctors and deny post-acute care, and that over 80% of denials were reversed on appeal when patients fought back. Separately, prior authorization denial rates were reportedly up 56% in this year, 2026, and 61% of physicians in a recent AMA survey said that AI is worsening denial rates. Wow. Well, that's how AI is responding when I ask it for some interesting content having to do with Medicare Advantage plans. I'm going to leave the rest of the content it's created for a future episode, but I am going to say that, okay, I asked AI also, how about some questions to entertain the audience? And I was thinking of a Q&A, like somebody might write in and say, does Medicare cover this? Or how do I enroll in Medicare? Yes, simple questions. So here's what AI did. And this is why you can't let AI do its own thinking. You have to help it along. Here are the questions it came up with. Oh boy, where are they? Oh, here we are. Here are the questions. Would you rather? So this segment of 4 questions starts with, would you rather? Would you rather explain Medicare Part D as in Delta to your mother-in-law or fill out a prior authorization form by hand while she watches? Now, what kind of wacky question is that? AI is just not capable of 100% proficiency unless you tell it exactly what to do. This is why so many people that are afraid of AI probably have no reason to worry about it taking over the world. Question number 2, would you rather have a 0 premium plan with a network that vanishes every January, or a $200 premium plan where every doctor sends you a birthday card? God, I don't know how much electricity AI wasted to come up with these questions. Randy is making ugly faces like, oh boy. Would you rather read an entire evidence of coverage booklet cover to cover, or sit through every Medicare commercial that aired during the last Super Bowl? And finally, question number 4, would you rather get a robocall from Karen from Medicare every day for a year, or actually be Karen from Medicare? Okay, so I think I'm going to dispense with the rest of these questions. The rest of them, 2 pages worth, are pretty much nonsensical like that. So I said, AI, go back to the drawing board. Randy has a thought here. Share that thought with us.
I've just discovered that one thing AI doesn't have.
What's that?
Is a sense of humor.
Absolutely not. I've asked it for Medicare jokes before, and boy, the stuff that I've gotten is even worse than what you just heard.
You know what? There's other things that I've read. In terms of humor, is so specific.
Yes.
If you're a natural English speaker, native English speaker, or if you're a native Spanish speaker, humor is entirely different for your language.
Absolutely right. We've got idioms, and a foreigner that doesn't understand English idioms is going to be totally lost. They'll be laughing to go along with the rest of the crowd, but they won't understand what they're laughing at.
They'll be looking around going, is this funny? Oh, I guess so.
Everybody else is laughing. I'll pretend to laugh too.
Yeah. I just had to mention that. So I'll let you get back to business here.
Well, it's a valid point. So I went back to AI and I said, okay, dump those losing questions that you just gave me, and let's make up some questions that might be actually helpful and instructive to the audience. And so then it kicked out a whole bunch more questions. This reminds me of a Twilight Zone episode where there was this big, massive computer, and it was talking to Wally Cox, and it fell in love with Wally Cox, and it kept sending little love notes to him. Well, here we go. How do you check whether your hospital or specialist is still in network for your Medicare Advantage plan before you actually need care? Well, that seems fairly simple. The plan is supposed to give you a list of the people that are currently under contract. They say, go to our website, put in the name of the doctor you have in mind, and then we'll tell you whether he's a legitimate part of our network or not. So the answer that AI gave is timely, given the story, 25 plus health systems, and I mentioned all the big names here, have dropped or narrowed. Okay, I guess that's a comment that I'm supposed to read, but the audience isn't supposed to know about. So I'm supposed to answer this question. You go to the plan's website, put in your provider's names or the hospital name, and they'll tell you whether they're still in the network. Question number 2, what should someone do if their preferred hospital drops their plan's network in the middle of the plan year? Well, that is the stock answer is too bad for you, tough toenails. The plan theoretically will give you a list of equivalent specialties that you can approach. But of course, when a major hospital drops out of a network's contract, a plan's network, then what they're going to do is they're going to send all those patients out to other doctors, and it's going to be more difficult than it was to get time to see them if you need to see them. Now, there is a way to appeal for the right to change plans, but that's a government decision, not really a decision of your Medicare Advantage plan. Question 3, is a higher star rating always a sign of a better plan? And the answer AI gives is no, not necessarily right now. The government cut star ratings from a lot of plans, and it's getting harder for these plans to earn those star ratings. And there's no guarantee that just because they have a lot of stars, they're going to be a better quality plan, because different people also have different definitions of what quality means to them. Question 4, what is actually changing in the supplemental benefits? That's over-the-counter benefits, meals, transportation. What's changing in those areas that made your plan attractive last year? Real 2026 data, over-the-counter allowances fell from 73% of plans to 66% of plans. So they're shrinking. Meal benefits from 65% to 57%. Transportation from 30% of plans down to 24% of plans. So listeners should be encouraged to recheck their evidence of coverage every year rather than assume that the year's perks carried over from one year to the next. Prior authorization and denials. What are your rights now that federal rules require faster prior authorization decisions? And I got to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, they're not that fast. In emergency situation, they have 3 days to mess around before they give a prior authorization approval. If in a regular situation that's not considered an emergency, they have 7 days with which to dilly-dally. So let's see. It is okay. The answer to that just pretty much repeats the same information that we had earlier in this episode. If a plan uses an algorithm or an AI tool to deny a claim, does that decision carry the same weight as one made by a doctor? I believe it does. I don't know why it wouldn't. Let's see. Directly relevant to the ongoing Loken versus United Health Group litigation, when an AI tool's denials were reportedly overturned on appeal, more than 80% of the time. Okay, good opportunity to explain that AI-assisted denials can and should be challenged. Well, Randy and I found out many years ago that all of your denials should be challenged, because the interesting thing that happens is that most of these plans reverse themselves on appeal. And that means that maybe that challenge should, or that appeal wasn't necessary in the first place. Maybe the plan should have just approved the procedure. But how does the plan benefit from denying a procedure and then later approving it when the appeal is filed? Then some of the people don't ever get around to filing an appeal. Some of the people just give up and go away. Others go to a different insurance company, or they pay out of pocket for the treatment that they need. And either way, the insurance company then doesn't have to pay for those treatments, and that's how they benefit. So they can deny claims all day long, and when the appeals are filed, they can reverse them, and they're still going to be in a better position financially than they would have been. What's the actual process for appealing a Medicare Advantage denial, and how long does it take? Well, it takes longer than you want it to take, and the process is laid out by each plan. Each plan has its own series of steps that you have to follow. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Why is a traditional Medicare starting to test prior authorization for the first time in 2026. It's a pilot program in 6 states that they're actually going to find out if they can actually save money on certain procedures. But I don't like it because I don't like to see the camel's nose peeking under the tent. Because what happens is if you don't smack that camel's nose and make it back off, the whole camel will be in the tent before you know it. So this is a situation in which they're starting a pilot program in 6 states to test prior authorization in regular Medicare, original Medicare, which never had prior authorization before. But will it expand? Will it become a problem for Medicare participants? The only way to stop it is to make sure that the pilot program ends and does not spread out into the rest of the Medicare program. So this is the kind of thing that I'm getting from AI. It's a moderately entertaining batch of stuff. But I've got another article here that I want to touch on at least. It's how much forgetfulness is normal and when should you see a doctor? We all have our moments, but how can you tell if your mini memory lapses are par for the course or a sign of bigger issues? It starts out 74. At age 74, Roz Garfinkel, I think that sounds like a fake name, can still recall the hearing test results of some of the 300 children she worked with during her career as a school audiologist. What she can't do easily anymore is remember why she walked into a room. It always throws me when I know I need something, but I don't know what it is. Why the hell am I here? She says. Garfinkel first noticed these memory lapses when she retired at around age 60, but said they've become more frequent over the last 4 years. Today, many of the things that she once kept in her head live somewhere else. Daily to-do lists, a calendar filled with medical and social appointments, and pill organizers lined up on the dining room table. I tend to think of some of these as normal aging things, but I guess I worry about it. She's hardly alone in these small everyday moments, misplacing your keys, losing your train of thought, forgetting a name, or why you walked upstairs are all almost universal by midlife. They're also anxiety-provoking, especially with growing awareness of Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia. The reassuring news is that many memory lapses have surprisingly ordinary explanations. Before assuming the worst, experts say it's worth considering several common, often reversible causes. So this article goes through, I believe it was in the Washington Post, a publication I normally don't read, but it does deal with things like normal age-related memory changes. Are you forgetful or just distracted? The connection between poor sleep and memory, and the connection between other health problems and memory. Then it says when to see a doctor about forgetfulness. How do you know when forgetfulness has crossed the line into something more serious? So a doctor said he looks for 3 things. Is the symptom happening constantly, not just once in a while, but multiple times a day? That's question number 1. Number 2, does it persist despite the workarounds you've put in place? If you've started placing your keys in the same bowl by the door, for example, and you're still regularly losing them, that's a concern. And question number 3, is it causing significant distress or interfering with your daily life? Experts are also interested in what you're forgetting. There's a difference between losing your train of thought mid-conversation and forgetting the entire conversation happened, which is much more serious. Even if you're feeling reassured that some forgetfulness is not a red flag, some doctor here that they're referring to still encourages people to mention any concerns to their healthcare provider, especially when it happens alongside sudden or extreme changes in your vision, sleep, or executive function. I don't know what executive function is, but I'm an executive, so I'm gonna take that as a personal reason to watch out. Or a new psychiatric illness as a depression diagnosis for the first time. Neurodegenerative diseases can present with symptoms other than memory too. But anyway, the overall tone of this article is that a lot of us are forgetful, and there's not always a reason for concern, but they're urging caution. Take a conservative approach and tell your doctor about it. And I believe they have little tests to see whether you have most of your marbles or not. I'm guessing that Randy has all of his marbles. I've never seen him marbleless at all. When I ask him a question, he's always got an answer.
You know something? We're out of
What's that?
time.
Yeah, I'm not surprised to hear that. My 20-minute thing went off about a half an hour ago.
Well, you know something? I think that we need to close up shop because I don't want to waste any of our extra marble money.
Yes, well, let's do that. And you're the best at closing up shop, so I'm going to leave that in your capable hands.
All righty, here we go. Grab a pencil, people, or a pen. I prefer number 2 pencils, but number 3 would be fine. Here we go. Write this email address down, dbj@mlmmailbag.com. You can use that email address to reach out to Doug any time of the day or night. Doug is licensed nationwide to help you with your Medicare supplement planning, otherwise known as Medigap. Medicareforthelazyman.com, that's the website. That's where it's all happening, and we like that website. We think it's pretty cool. Amazon, stop there and give us some reviews. We always need those reviews to stay ahead of the we're staying who are we staying ahead of today? The Travelog, the Travelog people.
Yeah. That's a complicated situation. I'll have to explain sometime.
I know. Someday I'm going to ask Doug to explain that, but just know that we want to stay ahead of it. They're not very close behind us, but every once in a while they get to nipping at our heels, and we want to stay ahead of the Travelog people. And you can subscribe to our podcast. You can get an email to let you know when they're dropping, and you can be waiting on your computer, or you can be some of the first ones to sign in and look at it. I think that would be cool. And we sit and watch the the meters, like, oh look, oh the gauges are going up, and that makes me very happy. I don't know how about you, Doug. It makes me happy.
You're kind of easily entertained, aren't you?
Oh, I know. So the last but certainly not least, thanks guys. We appreciate you joining us. We always do. But nobody ever tracks the time on their wristwatch, if they have one. But you have spent about 32 and a half minutes with Doug Jones, the anti-insurance guy, originally from Oklahoma. No more. He's living in the low ground out in Illinois. I can't imagine why he's doing that, but he tells me he's coming back, and I'm waiting for it.
That's right.
Every day I get up and I wait for it. So anyway, long story short, he's in the low ground, and I'm going to turn it back over to Doug to let us know how low it is.
It's low as heck, but it's not it's not swampy like Louisiana. It's just not mountainous like Arizona. So it's kind of in the middle. And I am happy to say that I'll be moving back to Arizona permanently and never darkening the doors of Illinois, which I lovingly call Pugsley Land, ever again, I don't think. So with that having been said, I'm going to say goodbye to the audience. Sayonara, ta-ta, auf Wiedersehen. And we'll look forward to having you join us again for our next recording session, which is coming up pretty darn soon. So hang in there and be with us when we start this again. We'll be looking forward to having you, your smiling faces in the audience. And until then, bye-bye.